Welcome, language learners from all around the globe, to Listen Up, the podcast that takes you on a captivating voyage through the English language. Whether you've just started your journey or have been navigating the intricacies of English for some time, this podcast is designed to be your trusty compass, guiding you towards fluency and unlocking the wonders of English. I'm your host, Karen, a passionate traveller and an experienced teacher of English as a second language. Join me as we embark on an exciting expedition filled with British history read by a native speaker. Together, we'll conquer the challenges and celebrate the victories of learning English as a foreign language. Each episode of Listen Up will immerse you in a variety of topics, from aspects of British culture, history, and literature. We'll explore useful vocabulary that will empower you to communicate confidently in English. If you want to read along with the podcast, head to my website www.onepawinthesand.com/ESL. The link is in the description. But this podcast isn't just about learning English in isolation. It's about building a community of language learners, supporting one another, and fostering a love of the English language. I encourage you to engage with us through my Patreon page, where you can connect with fellow learners, ask questions, and share your own language journey. So, whether you're sipping tea in Tokyo, walking the streets in Sao Paulo, or studying in a bustling cafe in Berlin, Listen Up is here to accompany you on your quest for English fluency. Join me as we embark on this transformative expedition, where language becomes an adventure and your dreams of effective communication become a reality. Today's episode is called No Dying Here. Picture yourself as a person who helps make the rules in the UK Parliament. You're in a big, passionate argument when suddenly you start to feel sick. Maybe it's because you're getting older and your body has decided it's time to leave this world. You take your last breath right there in the middle of the home of British politics. Sounds like a peaceful way to go, right? Well, guess again. In the United Kingdom, there's a rule that says it's against the law to die in Parliament. Yes, you heard that right. Today we're going to talk about one of the strangest rules around. You might be wondering how this unusual rule came to be. Let's go back to the 18th century, a time when the British Parliament was dealing with more than just talking about laws. There was a disease called smallpox spreading, and the government wanted to stop it from getting worse. Their solution was pretty extreme. They said that anyone with smallpox couldn't go into Parliament. But here's the funny part. The only way to make sure a person with smallpox couldn't get inside was to say it's against the law for them to die there. Even though we don't worry about smallpox anymore, this rule still exists. Lawmakers have talked about it in Parliament several times. They mostly want to keep it around because it's a bit of British humour. You won't find a rule like this every day. Now here's the interesting part. How can you make sure people follow a rule like this? Do they have secret guards in Parliament with devices that can tell if someone's not feeling well? No, not at all. In reality, this rule is just a small part of the bigger set of laws made to deal with diseases. It's not something they're likely to use. Even if this rule sounds a bit silly, it reminds us about the past and how far governments went to keep people healthy. For people who enjoy a bit of fun in their laws, it's entertaining, and it shows how British folks mix seriousness with a good dose of humour. Some people think there's another rule that says if you die in the royal palace, which includes the House of Parliament, then you get a fancy state funeral. But that's not true. At least 4 people have passed away in the palace without getting a state funeral. Guy Fawkes, Walter Raleigh, Spencer Perceval, and Alfred Bilson. So, if you ever find yourself in the important halls of the UK Parliament, take a moment to think about this unusual law. But remember, even though it's not very likely, if you ever feel sick, it's probably better to step outside and get some fresh air. Having the disappointment of leaving Parliament and staying alive is much better than the other option. And in the end, this odd rule is just a charming part of British history. And that wraps up another episode of Listen Up. I hope you enjoyed learning about my topic today and practicing your English. Remember, the exploration doesn't have to end here. If you have any lingering questions or want to continue the conversation, I've got some great opportunities for you. First off, I offer private lessons for those of you eager to expand your knowledge further, whether it's practicing today's subject or exploring other topics. I'm here to guide you on your English journey. Reach out to me through my website or social media platforms, and let's embark on a personalised learning experience together. I have been involved with training people for more than 10 years. I've been teaching English as a second language for over a year, in which time I have taught over 500 students, many of whom are regulars. But wait, there's more. If you're a devoted fan of Listen Up and want to show your support, consider joining our Patreon community. Your contribution directly helps us bring you more episodes and maintain the quality of our show. Your support truly means the world to me, and we couldn't continue this podcast without you. So whether you choose private lessons or Patreon, or both, I look forward to staying connected and exploring the fascinating realms of English as a second language together. Thank you once again for joining us on Listen Up. Until next time, keep practicing.